Love lives here.
All right. Thank you, Jabel. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all of you. All right. So welcome to those of you who have recently joined us and joining us online. Good morning, Beth. Great to see you joining us as well. So I think I'm going to have to get a new set of headsets. I am loving the headsets. So I am loving the headsets. We'll share them with you later, maybe. So to get started here, how about we say our focus statement and get us focused, help me get focused, because I forgot that I needed to mic up this morning. And then when I mic'd up, I had to take my lay off, and then I forgot to put it back on. So everybody's kind of helping me keep on track here. So, yeah. So let's say our focus statement. Maybe that'll help as well, shall we? Yeah. All right. So let's see here. How about we say it with B's for I'm back. How's that? So let's say our focus statement with all the B's, shall we? So what are some of the B's that we're going to say this with? Buffett. All right, as in Jimmy. All right, Buffett. Bodacious. Boldness. What? Beautiful. Beauty. Bubbly. Heard brain freeze. I'm like, that's part of the problem, actually. All right. So here we go. Let's say our focus statement together, shall we? We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Yes, absolutely. Love, love. All right. So here at Riverside CSL, we have been working with the theme all year long of live your best life, right? Yes, all right. And at the beginning of the year, we started off with the year looking at laying the foundation. Remember that? Way back in January, February. I know it seems like eons ago, but we were laying the foundation. And then we moved into living into the vision, right? Moving into the vision. And then this summer, we've been working with living above the line. And over the course of the summer, you have been working with and learning about the 15 agreements or 15 commitments of conscious leadership. That's the book that we were using. And you may say, well, I'm not a leader. Yes, you are. All right. Maybe you aren't leading a congregation. Maybe you aren't leading a company. Maybe you aren't leading even a family, but you are leading because you have a sphere of influence in your life. So you're influencing others just by your very presence and being in a relationship with one another. So you are a leader, okay? So can we get over the I'm not a leader thing? Yeah? Okay, good. Because the principles and the commitments that we've been working with all summer long are not just leadership principles, they're life principles, aren't they? Right? And the commitments that you have been invited to make all summer long have been about committing to primarily to yourself and how you are going to show up. It is committing to living your best life or committing to ways of committing to living your highest potential. Agreed? All right. Yay. Cool. So all of these things that we've been working on, or all these things that we've been exploring over the summer and over the course of the year up till now, we've really been talking about change. And what we've really been talking about is we've been talking about ways of changing. Because in order to live your best life, in order to live your highest potential, in order to live into your vision, in order to live above the line, guess what? We have to change. Right? It's all about the change, right? And what happens when we think about change is change means that we've got to let go of things that no longer serve us. Change means that we have to let go of what we know or let go of the known and step into the unknown. Step into the yet to be. It also means that change means, ready for this one? Releasing control. Right? Does that like cause your heart to flutter? Yeah. Ooh, okay. got to release control. No, but if I release control, I might fail, right? I might, it might be risky. I might not have security, or I might not have stability, right? These are those things that we're like, oh, all these things come with change. Some of us say, yeah, we like change. We want change. We're all for change. And then when it actually comes to it, it's like, really? Wait a minute. I just want the change. I don't want to have to do what has to be done in order to get the change, right? And we say in our philosophy, Ernest Holmes was the first one to say it, and now it's just like everywhere. I mean, it's like apartments.com, change your thinking, change your apartment, change your life, right? So change your thinking, change your life. It's not a new thing. It's not a new concept. We all know this. But it takes a little bit more than just changing our thinking, doesn't it? Yeah. So when we're faced with change, the majority of us, myself included, throw up some resistance. Anybody know that word? Resistance? Woo! Throwing up the resistance. Yeah, I don't know. I want to change. I want the effects of change. I want what's waiting on the other side, but I don't want to have to go through what is required of me to change. I'm going to throw up the resistance. And that resistance is rooted in fear. It's rooted in the not knowing. It's rooted in us not necessarily feeling secure or stable. It's just like, there's that risk that's involved, right? And we already talked about it, losing control or having to relinquish control, right? And so the way we need to overcome the resistance is through motivation. Through motivation, all right? So we've been talking about steps all summer long, all year long. Steps to change, steps to reinvent yourself, steps to move into your vision, and now we're talking next steps, right? That's what we're talking about today, is next steps. And that next steps, we got to look at the resistance and the motivation and the willingness to overcome whatever it is that we are looking at, all right? So if we're going to overcome this resistance, we need to find the motivation. Well, we've been talking a lot about the motivation that I share with you a lot, and that's vision, yes? So vision, when we have a clear vision, when we have a high idea of what life is, what Spirit is wanting to reveal itself, or Spirit is wanting to reveal through each of us, when we have that high idea, or we catch that idea, or we have this great idea or this high dream that really inspires us, that vision has to be heartfelt. It has to be inspiring. It has to be deeply moving. If it's just like, well, we know that Spirit, the universe, the law, whatever you choose to call it, responds to the feeling. So if we're just kind of meh about the vision, meh about our vision, right? Well, you're going to get meh. So we have to have some passion, some oomph behind the vision. Would you agree? Yes, right? And so you can begin to think about your vision, like how big is your vision? So one of the motivators is, how big is it? Is it calling you? Is it stretching you? Is it like, oh, that seems sexy. That seems cool. I would love to do that, right? Or I would love to experience something, right? I would love to experience flying first class on Emirates Airlines to Cairo next year. Ooh, right? That's juicy for me, right? Juicy. Yeah, first class, just laying there, not giving a care, just like, ooh, arriving rested. That's juicy, right? So there's a vision, there's some passion, there's some oomph, there's some energy, there's some juice behind the vision, right? And the other thing that's a real motivator is dissatisfaction. And you can't have one without the other. Dissatisfaction also plays a key factor into motivation. In fact, Nir Eyal, who wrote the book Be Indistractable, he says this about dissatisfaction. The drive to relieve discomfort is the root cause of all of our behavior. Let me say that again. The drive to relieve discomfort is the root of all of our behavior. Now you may be sitting there going, well, I don't know, I feel pretty good today. I'm not really discontent. I'm not really uncomfortable. Think about it. If we think that, wow, I'm hungry, there's discomfort, there's dissatisfaction. So what do? We eat something, right, to satisfy the discomfort or the distraction. If you're thirsty, what do? You drink something to satisfy, to quench the thirst, right? If you're bored, another dissatisfying thing, what are you going to do? Eat, okay? Absolutely, that's called a distraction, right? Now, you'll do something to entertain yourself to relieve the boredom, right? So these choices that we make in our lives, we're making choices based on our vision, based on what's pulling us, based on those high ideas or even our desires, our wants, our dreams. We're making decisions, we're making choices based on that, but we're also really, what's behind that is really that there's some sort of dissatisfaction. Now, it doesn't have to be ennui, where you're just like contemplating the meaning of life and you're, nothing like that. It can be something super, super simple. But that's really what's behind. And so when you have vision and distraction, then those multiply each other. So it could be that you have more vision than you have dissatisfaction. It could be that you have more dissatisfaction than you have vision. But those two things combined, working together, multiply each other to create your bigger why. Why do you want to eat? Because I'm hungry. All right, so there's the dissatisfaction there. And what I choose to eat, chocolate, gives me like a dark chocolate, gives me a little rush, and I really enjoy the dark chocolate. So, there's the yumminess of the dark chocolate, and there's the hunger, right? And so those two things are meeting, and so then I'm motivated to satisfy that desire, that thing, right? There's the motivation to do something, correct? Yes. Following? Yes. All right. Not as funny of an example. So, I was a teacher many years ago. I'm still a teacher technically, right? So, hi, I'm in front of you. But I was a teacher. I was a public school teacher. Let's put it that way, right? And I was teaching Japanese at my high school in Lelehua, in Hawaii, at Lelehua. And there came a point when I was teaching where I didn't feel within me I was giving my 100%. When the principal came in and observed me, he was just like, wow, you just give and give. You are amazing. I wish other teachers were teaching like you. You're giving so much. You're just like, the kids are responding. This is awesome. And I'm like, thank you. But within me, I wasn't feeling like I was giving enough, right? So there's some dissatisfaction kind of already starting. And then the district came down with this edict that basically said that I would have to go back to school for a year to get an additional certification to then get the job that I already had. And that training program was during the time that I was in school teaching, right? So, big pain point, right? Like, I love the kids, but and I love what I'm doing, but I'm already kind of like, I'm not really giving my 100. And now I'm seeing, now there's this kind of roadblock in the way, right? This big thing that they're wanting me to do to only get back to where I already am. And so I was like, all right, I had always had a vision of traveling. Michelle and I, my sister and I, used to fly unaccompanied as minors, like when we were kids. And I always loved flying, loved to fly, right? I was like, yeah, takeoff, landing, it's awesome. Anyway, I know there's some of you that don't like it. Sorry. Turbulence is cool too. I know that really freaks people out, but it's all good. Anyway, love it, right? And so there was this vision and there was this pain. And so that finally created the motivation for me to go ahead and apply, to leave my job as a teacher and apply to become a flight attendant. 3 weeks after making that decision, I was in Minneapolis, St. Paul, doing my training to become a flight attendant. That fast, right? But because there was a motivation, there was the vision, and there was the dissatisfaction. And that overcame my resistance, right, to wanting change. Or to my resistance to, I could just stick it out. It could be fine. Maybe I can make this work. Maybe I can be happy. Right? You see how that works? So the vision multiplied by the dissatisfaction was greater than the resistance, right? So, as the Borg says, resistance is futile, right? So, greater than the resistance. So what did I need to do? The very first few things we needed to do is I needed to take first steps, right? So this is another key to this equation of change, right? So vision plus dissatisfaction is the why. Now we need to focus on the what and the how. And that's the first steps. So the first steps were to, actually go online and see who may be hiring. And sure enough, lo and behold, there were 2 airlines that were hiring in Honolulu that month. Wow, all right. Then the next thing I had to do was I had to apply and then go do the interview, right? So there were steps and steps and steps and steps to move forward into this change, into this new direction. Got it? So there's the first steps. When we were talking earlier in this year, we were talking about we were talking about change equals vision plus choice plus action. Do you remember that? Vision plus choice plus action. So we've just talked about the vision and the dissatisfaction. So now when we are looking at the first steps, that's where our choices come in. What are we choosing to do? And what actions are we choosing to take? And are those choices and are those actions in alignment with the vision that you're wanting to see, the change that you're wanting to make? If they are, rock on. If they're not, that's yet another disturbance or another distraction. Following? Okay. So we have the vision and we have the why, and then we have the what and the how. And when we know the why, when we're clear on the why, then the what and how usually follow pretty clearly. That kind of lays itself out. The problem is when we're thinking about change, so many of us focus on the what and how that we don't focus on the why. Think of how many diet programs there are. You know the what and how, right? Of eating healthier or exercising. You know the what and the how. But if you don't have a strong why, the what and how don't matter, right? That's why resolutions don't tend to work. We think we should do something in the new year. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this resolution. I'm going to choose the what. I'm going to choose the how. But we don't really have a solid why. We know intellectually that we would feel better, but the why is not strong enough to carry over and to move us over the line of the resistance. The resistance is still stronger, right? Making sense? Yeah? All right. So, we've covered all those. Now, the other key piece to this is the willingness. We know, like taking that example of a New Year's resolution, we know intellectually that making this New Year's resolution is probably a good idea, right? And maybe we truly want this change. We know it's a good idea. We truly want this to change, but we're really actually unwilling to do it. There's the unwillingness. And so our willingness is a key factor, a key component in what it is that we are wanting to experience or desire. If we don't have the willingness, then it doesn't matter how much we want it. It doesn't matter how much we know it's good for us. It doesn't matter how much we have an intellectual understanding of it. If there is not the willingness, then the resistance is there. The resistance wins out every single time. So we need the motivation, which is the why. We need the changes, the steps, right? We need the first steps, and then we need the willingness. Tracking? Yeah. All right. So, this week, I want you to think about your willingness. Let's focus on the willingness piece. And I want you to think about what motivates you and what your resistances are. So let's look at it this way. Already, you are willing to be here, right? How do I know you're willing to be here? You're here, right? You're here. Whether you're joining us online or whether you're joining us in the room, you're here. So I know you're willing to be here. You're willing to be here. You have overcome whatever resistance to getting here. You've overcome whatever other factors may have been in the way, and you're here, right? So you've made a commitment to yourself. You've said yes to yourself. You've said yes to being here. So you're willing to be here. So what I want you to look at this week is this. So for those of you who respond to invitations, I'll say it this way. I invite you to look this week at what your pain point is, what your, if you want to look at it, if you don't like the word pain point or words pain point, what is being here, being in this community, Riverside CSL is what I'm talking about, what pain point does being part of Riverside CSL meet or satisfy for you, right? Another way of saying that is what need or desire does being part of Riverside CSL, of showing up here, and if today's your first day, that's great too. You still showed up. You're still willing to be here. So I'm inviting you to ask this question. What is it, what pain point brought you here today? Again, it doesn't have to be life, like, oh my God, I feel so whatever. It just could be like, I want community. Okay, great. You want community. But what does that mean? What is underneath that? What is the drive? What is the thing that because you can find community at the Kiwanis Club. You can find community playing games with your friends at home. You can find community all kinds of places. So what about this place here, or this community here, Riverside CSL, satisfies that desire or satisfies that need, satisfies that pain point, right? Got it so far? That's part of it. Then I also invite you to think about it this way of what is your vision for yourself being part of this community? What is your vision? What is that passion? What is that thing that lights you up, that makes you part of this community, that is like, whoa, I really enjoy this part? What is that really lights you up? What is your vision? What is your desire? What is your yummy? What is it that gives you the juice, right? Because you're willing You've said yes. You've showed up to participate here. There are 100 other things or thousands of other things you could be doing on a Sunday morning or whenever you're watching this, right? But you consciously chose to be here. You're willing to be here. So I'm inviting you to look at what are the pain points and what are the desires? What is the vision? What is the dream? What is the, yummy deliciousness? All right? And then next week, we're going to come back and I'm going to invite you, keep changing my language, we're going to invite you to share. Okay? We're going to invite you to share what it is, what's your why. We're going to invite you to share your why. All right? Sound okay? A little scary. All right. But that's why, for those of you who respond to an invitation, it's an invitation. For those of you that are motivated by, I'm giving you an assignment, because sometimes, assignments work better for some folks. I'm giving you an assignment. I want you to spend this week contemplating your pain point, why it is that you decided to participate here. What is it about this community that is satisfying your pain point? And I want you to drill down on it. I don't want it just to be something, well, my friends are here. Well, great. You also have friends elsewhere. What is it about Sunday morning? What is it about here, this community, that is satisfying that pain point, that need that you have? What is it? And then I want you to think about what it is that is your vision, what it is that lights you up, what it is that gives you juice, and what it is that makes you so excited that this is where you are willing to spend your time on Sunday morning. And then I will expect you to share it. So, which one is scarier, Ray? So, for those of you who like the invitation, I offered an invitation. For those of you that respond to, I'm telling you what to do, I've told you what to do. All right? Because there's different motivators, right? So, I'm going to close with this. Oh, but before I do. So, I would invite you, this is just an invitation. I'm not telling you have to, unless you really need me to tell you you have to. But I invite you to contemplate that this week and write it down and then email it to me. And email it to me and put in the subject line, put my why. I want to know your why. I really want to know your why. So put my why, and then tell me. It doesn't have to be a long email, but tell me what it is that is your why. What's your why? What's your vision? What's your dissatisfaction that has created such a willingness in you to come here and spend time here and resist watching the football game this morning? Or resist going to brunch, right? That's overcome that resistance, that's overcome the other offer. What is your why? And send that to me. Email it to me. So, email it to me at revjeff, REVJEFF. Jossie, if you could put this in the chat for me, please. Email it to me at revjeff@riversidecsl.org. revjeff@riversidecsl.org. And Jossie's putting that in the chat. And again, the subject line, have it read, my why. Okay? Yes. All right. So, a friend of mine once asked me, is your commitment greater than your resistance? Another way of saying that is your willingness greater than your resistance? And so that is the question I'm leaving you with today. Is your willingness greater than your resistance? And so it is. All right. So, So I invite our practitioners and our core council members to please stand and surround the sanctuary. And know that our practitioners are available for prayer for you. If you are watching from home and you would like prayer, know that you can send your prayer request to prayer@riversidecsl.org, and you'll be added to our prayer list there. So, just turning within, I recognize here and now there is just one power, one presence, one life, one love, one infinite, eternal allness, the isness, the fullness, the love that is through all as all. It is this beautiful love intelligence that brings forth from itself, through itself, as itself, all of life, all of creation. It is the totality of being, consciousness, wisdom, peace, poise, balance, harmony, joy. It simply is all that there is, and recognizing that this is all that there is just this one life expressing, I recognize that I am one with this one, that I am inseparable from it, that the very who of who I am is life itself, is love itself, is peace, power, abundance, joy, harmony. It is living, breathing, and having its being in, through, and as me, and I as it. And as I know that this is true of me, I know that this is true of everyone gathered here this day, gathered, and everyone and everything of all of life, of all of creation. There is only this one, and we are one with it. We are one with one another. We are inseparable. There simply is this one. And so I speak my word here now for this beloved congregation, for this beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, and all who participate in it, knowing that we have come together. We are willing to be together. We are motivated to share our light, share our love, share our joy with one another and out into the greater community. That we have a willingness to say yes to life, to say yes to love, to say yes to joy. We have a willingness and a motivation to say yes to living our best lives and living our best life as a community as a whole. Oh, how grateful I am to know this, how grateful I am to celebrate this, how grateful I am to live in this knowing as one. And so I simply give thanks for it. And I release this word now into law, knowing it is done, knowing it is so, knowing that all is truly, truly well. I let it be, and so it is.